Greetings, I'm Doug Outman and welcome to my new save, and this is going to be a really interesting save because I'm going to set certain stipulations on what we can do during this save, players that we can sign, and basically it is this. This is the challenge that we're setting before us today. So the series is called Old Man United, and the reason I'm calling it that is because we're going to make the rule that we can only sign players over 30 years old. So that is what the challenge is. So that's the challenge, and realistically what it means is that we are completely dependent on the continuity of our team after the first couple of years is going to be, if I haven't been sacked by then, is going to be the youngsters coming through. Because if we sell too many players early doors, then we're going to have no players other than old men coming along to the club, and basically we'll be playing with a team full of old people. So it's going to be an interesting, how can we make this dynamic work? And so there's only one reason why I've picked Man United, and that is quite simply this, that it works with the old man bit. So that's why I've gone with Man United. They've been very happy to take me on. As you can see, there I am, beautiful guy, artist. And our media prediction is 6. Let's see what they actually want us to do, because I haven't checked this out yet. I literally come onto the page, loaded it up, and here we are. Now, one thing I think I did try and do was load up the original Football Manager database, because what I didn't want was all the Christmas transfers or anything. So the team might not be exactly what you expect it to be. It might be from the very first upload of Football Manager 2020, but I haven't actually checked out the team yet, so we'll wait and see. So what they want us to do is play entertaining football, which is great because I love to do that anyway. Develop players using the club's youth system, which is going to be essential, like I said, with us having players coming in who are of a certain age. And I'd love to find sort of players who are like Pirlo, who can just keep a team going for years beyond what a footballer should be able to. And while he's doing that, young people are coming through left, right, and centre. So increase commercial revenue. Now, not totally sure how we do that, but I'm going to guess that if we're signing a 30 odd year old Messi or whatever, then that would probably do that. But I don't know who we're going to be able to get. Certainly Messi's probably a little bit unrealistic at this time, especially when we're not a very good team, which is the truth at the moment with Manchester United. Premier Division, we've got to qualify for the European Champions Cup. FA Cup, we've got to reach the semi-final. Euro Cup, we've got to reach the final. That's going to be a bit of a challenge because anything can happen in the cups. And Carabao Cup is not important, so we'll probably win that one. So, and by next year, we've got to be challenging for the Premier Division title. We'll see how that goes, but hopefully this is going to be a long-term save. It could be over very, very quickly, which would be a little bit worrying. But we'll give it a go. I'm going to go away now and work on some tactics, look at the team, and come back to you with an overview of our team as we go along. So what will be fluent for you will be me coming in and out, having a think about how things are going and stuff like that. But yeah, see you in a moment. Okay, so I've not even looked at the players yet. I just decided that what I'm going to do is have the teams play around the sort of styles that I want. And so this is my first of 3 tactics that I'm going to be designing, and I'll go through them very quickly because we're going to see them all in action throughout the series. But just very quickly, this is in my mind how I want to see us to play. Now, how results materialise will determine how rigid we stick to these tactics. If we're getting hammered every week, then obviously the tactics have got to change. Because the personnel realistically are not going to be changing too much. But this is what I want to do. I want a fairly positive formation with Manchester United. Now, Manchester United have been renowned for their wing play, and the first tactic that I've created doesn't have wingers. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for me, especially when I've got such good wingers as Daniel James. Martial and Rashford can both play out in an attacking midfield left role. So these guys aren't going to be happy if we play this formation over time. But this formation is a formation that I want to play quite certainly against some of the sides who are going to defend with 10 men behind the ball. And so my thinking behind this is that we will dominate in the midfield. These players, ignore the players because I've not based it around the players. I've just put players there so that you can see it. This midfield, and the roles may change as I have a look at the players and see who fits better in what. For example, I think that Marcus Rashford there is probably, yeah, that's probably a little bit better. Marcus Rashford playing like that, and he may even play as a poacher better or something. No, we'll leave it like that though. Marcus Rashford playing like that. But the idea of it, quite simply, is this: is that we will be a very positive team, short passing, hopefully, but a fairly fast pace. So the idea is that we don't get stagnated and start going backwards all the time. I want it to be quite positive going forward. So you got these three guys here, then you got the wing backs who are going to be overlapping and hopefully getting the ball into these guys. You got Lingard, or certainly whoever's going to play in this attacking midfield role. I'm hoping they'll be really quick-footed and be able to put through killer passes for Martial and Rashford to run onto, because we've got fast strikers. When we've got the wingers playing, we've got fast wingers. So realistically, we're going to be wanting to play that ball through. But I haven't yet decided on what exactly I want to put in my instructions. So I've just kept it to a few at the moment. So we're going to play a fairly narrow width because these wing backs overlapping will provide a little bit of width for us. So we'll keep it fairly narrow for now, see how that works. If it's not working, we'll make a few adjustments as the series goes on. But we're going to look for the overlap. We're going to play shorter passing. There's no point playing long balls when everybody's bunched together. The tempo's got to be higher because I do want it to be a positive tactic. I don't want it to be seem defensive. We want to control possession, but we want to get that ball into the areas where the players are going to score. So I've left everything else blank apart from being creative, because we're Manchester United, so we should be creative. And certainly if we get an old Pirlo-esque player who can come in and play these killer passes around, then that will be vital that we have creative freedom throughout the team, so that players can make the runs and that he can put the ball in the right spot for these particular players. We may go to hit early crosses, we may go to run at defence or even dribble less. I don't know yet. We'll see how the tactic works in reality. But that's the first tactic. I'll come back to you with a second tactic when I've had a good think about what situations I would like to use that tactic in, and then we'll go from there. So I'll see you in a sec. Okay, welcome back. You've been gone all of a few seconds, but here we go with our second tactic. It's very boring, I'm sure, but basically we've gone for a 4-4-2, and I don't know when I'm going to use this tactic. Probably when teams have got fairly narrow formations to try and exploit the wings. The likes of James and that are going to be really important during this particular formation. And the key player, I think, in this formation is going to be Pogba. If he performs well and provides the balls out to the wings, I think we'll be okay. But it's all dependent on how Paul Pogba's mentality is with the club. He may not want to be at the club. It's pretty touch and go with Pogba, whether he wants to stay in Football Manager 2020 from what I've been reading. So hopefully he will stay and provide that role, but there's always somebody to replace him if not. Certainly, you know, even in the players that we've got, you've got the likes of Mata, who's very creative. He doesn't particularly like the midfield. I think he prefers to be further forward. But in this particular formation, we're going to be looking at getting the ball to the wingers, and they're going to be bombing down the wing and putting the ball in. I've put whipped crosses because we haven't got any particularly tall strikers. There's a lot more instructions in this, but that's partly because I went on to the wing play, because I picked the wing play and then added some instructions of my own just on what I envisage in playing. And yeah, so we're gonna go with that. We're going to try and run at the defence with the speed of the players. And we're going to try and pass into space, because that's really important. If you can exploit space with these wingers, we will do some damage. And the wing backs as well, they're going to be pushing forward when they've got the opportunity. So now I think probably this one would again be against teams who are of a similar or lesser ability than us. We're going to have to come up with a strong defensive formation which is going to help us when we come against the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea and Manchester City. Just because, if we play too openly, we could find ourselves getting a little bit battered. So I'm going to look at a formation, and it might not be pretty. I don't know exactly what I'm going to go with yet. I've got a mind from something that I played in another save, which you can go and watch. It's Grassroots to Glory save, which is currently running alongside this one. You're welcome to go and watch that as well. But what I'm going to do is create an absolute crazy formation, I think. I haven't decided definitely going to do this yet, but let's see what it turns out like after the cut. Okay, so believe it or not, this is some sort of monstrosity. I think I'm going to call it the egg timer or something, because that's sort of the shape that it looks like. I haven't got a clue how it's going to work. It is different even to the one that I've used in previous saves. It's a strikerless formation. I've no idea how it's going to work, but initially we're going to use this probably against the bigger teams in the hope that, even though I'm still unbalanced, I want the target of the game to be that we control the possession, because if we've got the ball, hopefully they can't hurt us too much. So realistically, the battle has got to be won by these guys here. They've got to. So I've got a deep line playmaker. I've got a ball winning midfielder. The Mazzala's got to get forward to help the likes of Mata, Martial and James. I've gone for inverted wingers for this particular tactic, but I may find that I have to go for inside forwards, certainly with us not having an actual striker up top. But I don't know who's going to play what roles in this. I don't envisage Mata being the shadow striker. I'm hoping that one of Martial or Rashford or even Mason Greenwood can provide that, but they may have to be trained into that position. But we're only going to use it 5 or 6 times maybe in a season, so it's not going to come out very often, I don't think. I'm going to use it predominantly in my friendlies just to see how it works, really, because it's out of the 3 tactics that I've made, this is the one that's going to sink or swim the most. So, because, I've got to recognise that we're with United, and whilst the players aren't doing as well as they should be in the context of the size of the club, this is a team that is expected to have success, and we can't go in there, find ourselves sitting in mid-table, because we won't last very long, and this will probably be then one of the shortest YouTube series ever, because if I get sacked, and that's the end of the series. We're going with this. It's old Man United, so we will see some players come in, hopefully. Again, I haven't even looked at the team I've got, let alone the team that I might want to buy. So we'll see who's available. And in fact, let's do it. Let's go to the squad. So if we look at the squad, so here we are. We're in the squad depth. And if you look at the actual side that we have, I'm happy with the team that we've got. I will make some additions, don't get me wrong, but I'm reasonably happy with the squad depth that we've got. I think we probably need to check it out in the 4-4-2 formation, because we'll get a more balanced view of what we've got, particularly striker-wise. But if you look at Rashford, Martial, I think they're going to get goals. And I know for a fact from what I've heard people say, Mason Greenwood will provide some goals as well. Certainly won't be playing Ashley Young up front, so I don't know why he's there. On the wings, Ashley Young's up there, but he won't be playing there, I can promise you that, because the likes of Daniel James, Marcus Rashford if necessary, Juan Mata, he can play on the wings. We may have to change his role to a playmaker more role. In midfield, we've got a good defensive midfield in the context of McTominay and Matic, but I don't know how much they're going to play. Fred is back up for Paul Pogba. We may find that we get somebody else in as well. Pereira's a good talent for coming through. I believe he's really good in set pieces and stuff like that. Wing backs, we've got Luke Shaw, Wan-Bissaka are probably going to be my first choice, but Diego Dallo's handy because he can play on both sides. Centre back is probably the biggest issue really, because Harry Maguire's okay, Lindelof's okay, and maybe out of these the next one is Axel Tuanzebe, because I don't envisage Rojo or Phil Jones playing in my side. So I don't think that they will be hanging around in the squad. So they may be the ones that we look to offload in this particular team. So if we go to the squad page, so there we go. That gives us a general idea of our team. Goalkeeper wise, Lee Grant's not really going to feature. Sergio Romero may feature as a cup goalkeeper or whatever, but if somebody comes in for him, he may well be on his way. The likes of Chris Smalling, who's out on loan, and I believe Alexis Sanchez is still here on loan. Highly unlikely we'll see those guys again, so we can make them disappear out of the squad. Eric Bailly, hopefully we'll be able to keep him, because I actually quite rate him as a player, so maybe when he comes back he will be useful to us. But yeah, that's the squad, and what I'll do is I'll get to the first game of the season. We're a long way from that at the moment, well over a month away. So I'll have a look at what players are available. I don't know who we're going to find. Whether there'll be anybody in the first season, I don't know, because basically it could be just a finding out where we need to strengthen and then look at January to see whether we can find a couple of players maybe. One thing I didn't check, and we'll just do that very quickly before we go anywhere. We've got over 400 million in the bank, so that's pretty cool. We've got 100 million to spend. Probably won't need to spend most of that, if any of it. I've just had a thought of a great player who we could look for, but I'll keep that to myself until we come back. But certainly, I'll go play a month, and then I'll come back, and we'll see where we go from there. You won't have to wait long. We'll give you a game, and then we'll get on with the start of the season. Until then, I'll see you in a moment. So greetings and welcome back. It's not been very long for you guys, but it has been an enormous amount of work on my behalf. About three and a half hours worth of trying to work out the best teams, best strategies, best tactics. Remember that we've got a very strict ethos to work to in this save, where we cannot sign players unless they are 30 years or above. So as you can see, as we go through the signings, just very quickly on the outs, we've let Rojo go out on loan to Everton, and Nemanja Vidic has been sold to West Ham, and one of the youth players has gone out on loan as well. But here are my signings. Obviously, most of these are signed before I even had a say in the matter. But the first one that we bought in was Man Utd, and you know, he's very well known. He's 32 years old, fits the criteria. I bought him in specifically for if we use any ball-winning midfielder tactics in particular. He could work on the box-to-box as well, but I believe I've signed a possibly better guy for that box-to-box role. But yeah, Man Utd is the first one to come in. He's had a pretty substantial history with Paris Saint-Germain in particular. He's more recently at Juventus. But he's a world-class player, so I'm perfectly happy to have him along. And then this one, everybody will remember and know and love, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who has come along and signed back with Manchester United. He should never really have gone. We welcome you back, Zlatan, and hope that for at least a couple of years you can sort of lead that line up front, helping these youngsters, Martial, grow into their roles. And yeah, so I think Zlatan's a good addition, gives us a bit of heading ability in the box, particularly for when we're playing with wingers. Then we got Thiago Silva, 34 years old, still a class defender, but yeah, he's a great addition to what is probably the area which needed strengthening. We've got a world-class centre-back, admittedly in the twilight of his career, but I'm sure that at least for this year, if not for next year as well. Then this is probably the best signing that we've made, because he covers all the central mid roles really, particularly the playmaker role for a deep line playmaker, and if we need him in a defensive midfielder role, which obviously my messed up tactic seems to require somebody who's a deep line playmaker, so he's perfect for that. But if you bring him forward, if you look, he can play in most of the positions. So he's just a really good all-round. He's going to see a lot of games, I imagine, in this series. Certainly early doors. 30 years old, so just about fell into the criteria. And then there's one more, Fabio Contral. I'm not sure how you say his name, but certainly he's been around for a while, and he was available on a free. So somebody who's played for Real Madrid for so many years and has got out on loan from Real Madrid more recently. He's got to be good enough to play in our Manchester United team. Certainly as a backup squad player, he should be a good fit as well. He's a left back. Yeah, he's a left back, can play in midfield as well. So he's another versatile player who's been around for a long time, got a lot of experience, and he adds a little bit to the squad, which is really important in the context of where we're going. So I think that's a pretty good transfer window that we've done, well within the guidelines of what we set at the start as our mission for the old Man United. So we've certainly got the old men in, and we still have 28 million and a little bit of transfer budget to spare as well. I'm quite pleased with that. The one player who I did try to sign was Gareth Bale, but he wasn't having any of it. If anyone questions that he's not 30 yet, he would have turned 30 before the transfer window finished, and that's why we were able to go for him. But we didn't get Gareth Bale, so we're not going to dwell on that for now. Obviously, all these other signings were made before the game starts, so there's not a lot I could do about them. But that's the team. So this is our very first Manchester United team. We're going with the 4-4-2 tactic. We're going to try and see if we can get the best out of young James and Rashford, with Wan-Bissaka and Shaw backing up as well. De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Thiago Silva and Shaw. Daniel James, Witsel. I'm going to keep trying to call him Witsel. Pogba, Rashford, Ibra and Martial up front, with plenty of talent on the bench to help us out if things don't seem to be going our way. Let's get into this. So that's the formation Sheffield United will be playing. Hopefully we can break it down and very quickly put them to the sword, so that we're not getting nervous and struggling towards the end of the game. So here we go. I'm really excited. It's a new series and a new season and a new team. And let's just hope that it starts in the way that we mean for it to go on. So very early on we have a highlight. It's Witsel, Maguire. Good ball from Maguire to Rashford, who runs into the centre. He's still going, nobody's getting to him. Daniel James picks up the ball. Pogba, Witsel finds Shaw, who has a go himself. He's not renowned for goals as Luke Shaw, but he very nearly got one in then. Luke Shaw with a corner. And I think that was Thiago Silva who heads it over. So Martial, Luke Shaw, Pogba. Good ball in from Pogba, finds Ibrahimovic, and would you believe it, the oldest player that we managed to sign in this old Man United save has set us on the way. 37 years old, and Paul Pogba picking him out, Captain Pogba, with a beautiful ball, Ibrahimovic with the header. That is 1-0. So what a fantastic start that was. Let's just hope that we don't allow them back into it at any point now. So they're playing with a back three who seem very keen to keep us out. But Daniel James has picked up the ball now. He's put the ball across and found Marcus Rashford. Couldn't get his shot away, but his pace keeps the ball in. And he gets the ball across. It's headed out, hoofed away, and Sheffield United look to counter-attack now. Although they're taking their time about it, they've gone all the way back to the keeper. Will that be the end of the highlight, or is there more to see? Wan-Bissaka picks up the ball, gives it to Maguire. Paul Pogba, Witsel, whose passing's been impeccable so far, decides to drive forward, Puts the ball right onto Rashford. That is a beautiful cross. He just had to poke it home. 2-0 in 5 minutes. What a start to this new season. Look at the run from Witsel. And when you think he's got nowhere to go, he pulls out a ball that is inch perfect. On the volley, Marcus Rashford for his first of the season, and that is 2-0. So it's exciting seeing us play the way that we're playing so far. Still only 10 minutes into the game and the highlights are flooding in. It looks at the moment like it's our highlight again, as Martial is running into the box. He keeps going. Was he fouled? I don't think he was. But that was another great opportunity, and here they come again. Shaw, headed by Witsel. Maguire picks it up, plays it calmly out to Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka still going, just couldn't get the pullback right. Now the counter attack, there's nobody on that side. Muset, well done Maguire, that is what you've been signed for. And he's able to find Ibrahimovic, who finds Paul Pogba. Puts it out to Daniel James, Wan-Bissaka. Martial is all on his own. Ibrahimovic, James, charges into the area. Nobody can get to him, but it's just shot wide. This is pretty incredible stuff for the first 15 minutes. If they'd have scored all their chances, we'd have been about 5 or 6-0 up by now. And Pogba from the corner just fails to tuck it in to the right place from a free kick. And I think that was Ibrahimovic with a header. It's getting quite messy out there. They're completely annihilating this Sheffield United side. Paul Pogba. Witsel. Paul Pogba again. Finds James, who flicks it onto Wan-Bissaka, who finds James again, who's found Ibrahimovic, just got pipped of the ball by the defender, and it goes back to start again. Marcus Rashford with a free kick, swings it in, far post, it's headed in by Thiago Silva, and that is 2 of our signings, over 30. These old Man United are doing really well, and 3-0 to Manchester United. We had a little bit of a problem with the computer then, where it just froze. A little bit of a worry, but we're back running again now. We're still 3-0 up. I was a little bit nervous because I've had a couple of, during the pre-season, a couple of games where it kept crashing on me in the middle of the game. So hopefully that doesn't happen in a live com, because it'll be very embarrassing to be comfortably winning and then have to start all over again. As De Gea brings the ball out. So we didn't get to see the replay of the Thiago Silva's header, but nevertheless I am quite glad that at least we haven't had to restart the game. I was beginning to worry that we would. Ibrahimovic can't get the header on target, but I think this game has been put to bed quite early on. Although maybe I'm speaking too soon, as Musa runs through, Wan-Bissaka clears it. It was a good save by De Gea. I think the defence is going to be key to our success. If they can keep defending well, especially against the worst teams, then I think it will take care of itself when we come to the better teams. So many of our attacks have started with throw-ins. Witsel puts the ball in. Martial can't get to it, but Pogba wins it back, gives it to Witsel, who finds James. Wan-Bissaka, Witsel. Wan-Bissaka again, get the ball in. Far post, Rashford. Should have scored really, but again, it's amazing passing and playing. 21 shots and we're not even at half time yet. 58% possession. For those who don't like 4-4-2, this has been a real wake-up call, I'm sure. Oliver Norwood, he's an ex-United player, I think. As Muset runs through, great save by De Gea. I was a little bit worried Sheffield United would be back in this game if they find a goal before half-time. And De Gea again comes out to win the ball from the corner. So there it is, half time, 3-0. 22 shots to 2. You can see why we're winning. Complete domination. There's a few complacent players in there, but I'm very happy with the way things are going. Just looking at the fitness of everybody, I'm sure everybody's okay. I don't intend to play Zlatan for every minute of every game, so I imagine he will be having a little bit of a rest soon, maybe towards the 60-minute mark. Any of you who've watched my Man Utd save would know, 60 minutes I tend to start looking at making changes, just to try and freshen things up a little bit, and to give people playing time, of course, as well. As Pogba and Rashford, bit of a wasteful shot from Rashford, but it's yet another shot onto the account, which is steadily going up. Witsel picks up the ball, charging forward, finds Martial with the outside of his right foot, and that was a beautiful pass. He's so creative, actually, and I didn't think he would be that good for me, but I've seen how he's played in the friendlies, and he's really impressed me and made me think that actually I made a really good signing there. So much so that Man Utd is sitting on the bench wondering what the heck's going on, because he thought he was coming in to be first choice. But obviously we've got 3 tactics to use, and they're all going to get plenty of use in those tactics over time. I just felt that this was the tactic for this team. They were playing a narrow formation, so we wanted to try and exploit the wings. It has worked a treat. Thiago Silva heads it clear. Martial, he's only got Ibrahimovic ahead of him. It might take a week or so for Ibrahimovic to get into the box, so some of the faster players have now joined them. And that is a foul. McGoldrick losing his composure a little bit there. Rashford with the free kick towards Ibrahimovic. I'm glad he didn't score it in some respects, because it means that he won't be too annoyed if I took him off. We're back in. Rashford. Shaw crosses it with his wrong foot, and it wasn't a bad effort. So, well done Ibrahimovic, you've had a fantastic game. Oh, we better see this highlight out. I was about to take him off, but just in case he goes and scores another goal, we'll hang fire. The goal could well be going the other way, though, if it is indeed a goal. Witsel with a good header out. James. Now, he was a little bit slow there for the fastest guy in the Premier League. He just dallied on the ball and got robbed of the ball, and it was a little bit disappointing. Oliver Norwood's been sold short there, and Pogba brings it forward. Good ball from Pogba. Finds Daniel James, who finds Wan-Bissaka, who has a go himself with his left foot, which wasn't too impressive. And now we can look at making a couple of changes. So we'll give Mason Greenwood a go on the pitch. And what I think I might do is play him as the advance forward and let Martial drop a little bit deeper. And I think Thiago Silva's had a fantastic game. He is clocking on the years as well. So we'll take him off and let Axel Tuanzebe get a bit of playing time as well. So Maguire takes a free kick, which Wan-Bissaka picks up, slides down to Daniel James, who will hopefully put the ball. Now he's gone back to Wan-Bissaka, who's found Martial, who's put the ball beautifully to Rashford. It was a great save. And away comes Sheffield United, but he's run it straight out of play, and that's the end of the highlight. So I had a feeling the second half might go this way, a little bit quieter, less to happen, but Rashford's put in a free kick, a good one as well, which Sheffield United were lucky to survive. Now Fleck with a goal. Not with a goal, thankfully, with a free kick was what I meant to say. But I would be worried if we conceded a goal now, because in the friendlies we just capitulated it late on in games. So I'm hoping that won't materialise in the Premier League games. So we're 10 minutes to go. And we'll see what happens with this highlight, and then we'll look at making our third and final substitution. I think we can safely say that the signings that we've made have been successful so far. And Mason Greenwood runs through and straight at the keeper, unfortunately, but it was a good opportunity. And Daniel James now charging down the wing. Wan-Bissaka, will he get the cross in? He does get the cross in. Nobody gets to it, but Shaw picks it up and has a little bit of a go. But 3-0, you can't complain. This has been superb. And I think we've got a penalty. We're waiting for VAR to decide. Yes, it is. And Anthony Martial gets a chance to get a goal. And that's a great finish. And that is 4-0 to Manchester United. And what a way to introduce yourself, old Man United. Obviously, as the years of this save go on, assuming we haven't been sacked, you hope that we can get to see some real golden players come along. Norwood gets a second yellow card, sent off against his former club. And Manchester United look like they're home and host. Can they make it 5? We want 5. The crowd are chanting it. Shaw brings it forward, crosses the ball in at the far post, Daniel James. And I got so engrossed with that penalty and stuff, I completely forgot to make my third and final substitution. But Tuanzebe has come on and had an impact. The young man, Daniel James, with a nice little side-footed volley. That is 5-0, and what a way to start. A 5-star performance for what I hope will be a 5-star series. With such unusual stipulations on the transfers, got to be over 30 years old, it's got to be interesting whether we can continue to bring a fantastic, seasoned talent to Old Trafford and bring us success in the future. But when the likes of Ronaldo, Messi, Gareth Bale are all looking at ending their careers, that's going to be the time where we try and get a last hurrah out of them, because I can't see them leaving until their time as a first choice player has run at whichever club that they're at. So we've got to keep an eye on these world top players, but we will do our best. And I mean, there's nothing you can say other than passionately, I'm very happy with the result and the way that you played. And that has left us top of the league, and let's hope that we can stay there for a long time. It would be unexpected for us to win the league this season, but I do think that we could potentially do something very special with this squad. But obviously a lot of that is dependent on how they settle down with the tactics that we've got, because that's one thing with Football Manager. The truth is, if you get the right tactic, you can make a poor team play very well. Or if you get a bad tactic, you can make a great team play really poorly. And that is the excitement of Football Manager. So at the moment, we've had a good start. I will come back soon. Let's just have a look at the games that are coming, because we want to see how this team's going on. So what have we got? Oh, we've got Man City coming up soon. So I think I like to do three games in a row. So what we'll try and do is Man City, Watford and Chelsea, or there might be cup games actually. So we'll see who we get in the cups, and then we'll perhaps play them. So we've got a European Cup, Man City and Carabao third round. We'll see what we get, and then I'll come back somewhere around that time. It just gives me a chance to get ahead of some of these games and move this old Man United into a new era. So, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the ethos of the series, the idea of the series, and get behind it. If you like what you see, give us a like, subscribe, and I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. I'm Doug Outman, and I'm out of here.